Oh, you want to see sexy? Well, I think that Chris is going to meet Geralt.
Geralt? Who the fuck is Geralt?
Geralt.
Oh my
Geralt,
god,
sorry.
Dan.
Geralt of Rivia.
Sorry, I've got...
Geralt.
Excuse me. Let me take another sip of my golden monkey here real quick.
Hello and welcome to the Game Brew Podcast, episode 21 on January 2nd, 2018. I am your host, Ian Richard, and I'm here this week with Chris Reitz.
Hi.
Dan Rotz.
That's me.
Alex Ryder. And Will Shell.
Hi. Yo.
The gang is all back together. In our first segment, we will talk about our personal game of the year and also the objective game of the year. And then in our second segment, we'll make some predictions for the gaming year in 2018. But first, it's time for beer.
Oh.
Chris, what's the deal with beers this week?
So this week we all decided which beer we liked the best of the ones that we drank this year on the podcast and brought those with us. So I took Dragon's Milk by New Holland Brewing. We had that a couple episodes ago. I can't remember exactly which one. But it's a bourbon barrel aged stout, and it's delicious.
Nice. So that was your favorite beer of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What about it?
It's just a very unique beer. I don't drink a lot of beers like it. It just has it's got a lot of sweetness to it, but also just a lot of body.
A sweet body. I can think of some
I
other
do
people
love
like that.
Sweet bodies.
It's me.
But yeah, I mean, and it's I kind of like.
Dan.
I think I said this before.
Dan.
I'm kind of surprised that I like it because it's bourbon barrel aged, and I'm not a huge fan of bourbon or their barrels.
Yeah, I remember
So-
that bourbon aging on that beer being just enough to be able to taste it really clearly on the tongue, but not overwhelming. And I thought that was uniquely well done. Usually the bourbon barrel aging is like
It's
two
a
in your
lot.
face for me.
Yeah.
For sure. Will, what are you drinking, man?
I am drinking the Putin-approved Russian Imperial Stout. Old Rasputin.
Old Rasputin.
Which actually is
Not-
probably
not-
not Putin-approved because it's from North Coast Brewing in California. So he
You would probably not like.
would probably shoot me in the face.
No, he wouldn't do it himself. He would have KGB come shoot you in the
But he
face.
would be standing behind the KGB shirtless on a horse.
No,
Or
on
he
the
might
bear.
Be doing, he
He'd
might
be
be
on the
doing
bear.
the Kylo Ren, the Ben Swallow, if you will.
Ben Swallow. Oh my god.
We're jumping on that train. Is that the train we're jumping on right now?
That's the train
What
we're
a
jumping
good
on.
beer. I mean, it's rich. It's an intense beer, but it doesn't kick you in the taste buds so hard that like it's not too bitter.
It's not like the
It's
American
just a
History X of
smooth-
beers. Got it.
It's a tough but a smooth stout. It's kind of like the Clint Eastwood of stouts. Like it's
Tough
gonna
but
kick your
smooth.
ass, but it's suave too.
This is a stout.
Get off my stout.
Get off my stuff.
And I'm drinking the also from North Coast Brewing Brother Thelonius, which we also drank a couple weeks ago. And there's it's a Belgian style Abbey ale. There's just a ton of flavor in it, but not a whole lot of body. So it's very drinkable. I just don't think it's very often that you get so much flavor without all of the heaviness that often comes with a lot of flavor. So that's why I love this beer.
Nice flavor. So you guys are both drinking stouts.
Yeah. No, this is an ale.
Oh, that's an ale. That's right. I forgot.
It just looks like a stout on the label.
Yeah. Ooh, it's hefty.
Yeah.
Hefty.
All right. So,
Chop, chop.
first segment is actually going to be Game of the Year stuff. We just started a brand new year. The calendar turned over, and it's a great time to sort of take a look back at what happened in 2017. So this is divided into two sections. We'll each talk about our personal Game of the Year, which may or may not have been a game that released in 2017, but just a game we played and loved this year, and also what we think the objective best game of the year was that must be released in 2017. So let's go to Will first. Will, what do you got there for your personal Game of the Year?
My personal game of the year is To the Moon from Freebird Games. Have you guys played this?
No. It looks
No.
like an
This is an-
RPG simulator kind of thing.
This is an old game. It was released in 2011, if I remember correctly, and it was created in RPG Maker. It's a SNES era graphics, so 16-bit graphics, if you will. Top-down RPG. Gameplay is very minimal. Actually, the only gameplay element that is game-like at all are these little puzzles. It's kind of like what do you call a thing where you've got one empty square and you slide the squares around to form a picture?
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
It's kind of like that. The rest of the game is just exploring and interacting with the environment and clicking on things. And it's only 4 hours long. But this is hands down the best storytelling experience in gaming that I have ever experienced.
Wow.
I love, you know how I am about stories.
I do.
This is the most cathartic, amazing storytelling I have ever seen. I was in tears for like the last 30 minutes of the game. It was just, you would have thought I just watched my only dog get hit by a UPS truck. I mean, it was just pouring down my face.
Terrible now.
Oh, it's amazing. So without spoilers, as best I can, it's a science fiction adventure game where you play as two doctors who, kind of like a la Inception, you enter a patient's mind who is on their deathbed. They have a dying wish of something that they really wish that they had experienced in their life, and you go alter their memories to do that. And the story is told, it's almost like time travel. The story is told in reverse. You start at a current memory, so you know where the story is going. You know the ending. You know how everything ends up, and you go through in reverse, and the memories progressively get older and older until you reach their childhood. And to tell a story in that manner is, and make it interesting and engaging when you already know the end of the story, is no small feat. And this is novelesque writing, Hollywood writing. It's some of the best dialogue that I've experienced, because it's not the visuals so much that tell the story. The visuals are very minimal. It's the dialogue, and it's absolutely incredible.
Chris, you played this game as well, correct?
Yeah, I did a long time ago. Well, not like a long time ago, probably a little over a year ago, I think.
And what'd you think?
I loved it. I mean, I had the similar situation as well. I was crying at the end of it. It gets you. And it's kind of cool because the whole concept is you're trying to find out what his the person that you're entering the dreams of, what their ultimate wish was, like their life's work, basically.
There's like a mystery component in there. You need to find out what they want first and then do it.
You know what they want. You're uncovering why. The whole point of the game is, from the character's perspective, you're just trying to get the job done. Like, it's called To the Moon. He wants to go to the moon. The characters, it's just like, well, let's get him to the fucking moon. You, as the observer and as the game player, you want to know, well, why? You start to uncover these things like, why the hell does he want to go to the moon? This doesn't make any sense. And I can't go in more without spoilers, but my God, it's interesting. Ken Gao, I think is the guy's name, wrote this after his grandfather died, and that was the first time he had experienced any type of real huge family loss. And he wrote it, composed the music for it.
Oh wow!
I think he's a higher up at Freebird Games. He's a senior publisher or something. I don't know what he does there.
Well, he runs it.
Okay, so he runs it. But just outstanding. The music, everything. I cannot recommend enough. I think it's $2.50 right now on Steam. If this is $10 or less, it is well worth it, even at a 4-hour adventure.
Yeah, I think there's totally something to be said about a game that knows how long to stay and knows when to leave, and it sounds like this game does that.
Oh, it's such amazing proof that you can tell story with shit graphics and make it meaningful. And
well, it's not shit graphics. It's just the
different.
It's just the graphics they chose to use.
Comparatively speaking to today's graphics.
So that's
you don't need to see the facial expressions.
Right. That's To the Moon. It is $2.49 on Steam.
Well, hopefully it'll still be that price when this releases.
Oh, is it still on sale?
Mm-hmm.
So next week, whenever you get this, Hopefully, it's still
You
cheap.
just missed a great sale. Off of sale,
Sorry about
it's $9.99.
Well worth it.
Well worth it. Let's go to Alex. Alex, what is your personal game of the year?
My personal game of the year is probably going to be NBA 2K.
17.
17.
So
17,
2010.
yeah. I haven't downloaded 18 yet. But that was just the game that I personally put the most time into, and that game just really sucked me in. Again, it was super easy for me to pick it up, play a game, and put it down after one game and just walk away from it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying it conformed nicely to
Since
the way that
this
your
was
life,
kind of like
life
my
is,
first
yeah.
full year of getting back into some more intense gaming, going back to my roots of how I started with lots of sports games. Nice way to ease me back into the gaming world.
There's a story mode in 2K17,
Yeah, and
right?
that's what I was playing.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were
Mhm.
playing. Is the story mode actually a story? Is there a character arc? Is there
Do you
There
cry
is,
at
but
the end?
you don't. It's a whole bunch of games, and the ultimate goal is that you are improving the stats of your player. You're trying to be the best player in the NBA. You try and make it into the All-Star game. You try and get Rookie of the Year. You try and get all of the awards. But the story line is pretty self-determined, and so you don't have a lot of control over it. There are certain things like in the college years when you're first like starting out, you play like 6 college games, and if you do really well, then you get a girlfriend, and you
so if you're not
Yeah.
as good at playing basketball, there are no girls available
Exactly.
to you.
Just
Is
no
that the
girls.
lesson
For you.
that 2K17?
and then,
Zero girls.
and then once you start getting good in the NBA, then it's like they present you with, oh, look, you're good now,
new
so
girlfriend?
here's a girlfriend for you. So that's kind of
Oh my,
Oh my
weird
god, that's
storyline?
so messed
that's
up.
terrible.
Have you guys seen the show Ballers on
I've watched a little bit.
HBO?
Dwayne the
No.
Rock Johnson.
Yeah. My dad loves that show. Shout out to Brian Rotz. And just because he listens to the podcast. My dad listens to the podcast, if you guys didn't know this.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, hi,
Thanks,
Daddy
Mr.
Dan.
Rotz.
I'm Mr. Rotz.
My mom doesn't because the swearing.
God
But
damn it. Dad's mom.
guys, stop
Sorry,
swearing.
Mrs. Watts.
But no, yeah, it's pretty much like the whole show is kind of like that. The same thing Alex said, which is it's a little bit like where it's like, oh yeah, here's money and girlfriends and watches
Yeah.
and cars,
And they
all
just
that
give it to
stuff.
you. Like, here is a girlfriend. It will be your girlfriend.
That's the other aspect.
You're what?
Your girlfriend.
That's the other aspect of these sports games that I don't quite understand. It's you play these games and you do really well and you get all of these NBA 2K coins that you can improve your stats with, or you can buy all of these clothes to accessorize your player with instead of improving your stats. And it's like, why would I do like that? Has no impact whatsoever in the game at all. It's like all of the clothes, like
Yeah.
if you look at my player, it's the free Gatorade t-shirt that when I got sponsored by Gatorade in the game, they gave me a t-shirt. And then the
Of course,
shoes,
you're gonna wear that.
I became buddies with someone early in my career and they hooked me up with some shoes. So like that's what my player's wearing is all the free stuff that I got in the game.
That's awesome.
Nice. Got to know your roots.
Some people go crazy about that. The cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
though. I remember in Guild Wars 2, there was a huge like want for cosmetic items.
Isn't in Looney? No.
Hmm?
What's the movie? Space Jam.
Yes.
What's his face? Doesn't Michael Jordan still practice in like his college like shorts or
Yeah.
something like that? And he makes the
Yeah,
Looney Tunes
yeah,
go
he
back
does.
for that. I don't know why I'm in movie mode today. I watched like 3 movies, I guess.
Thanks for
But
that Space Jam. There's never a bad time for a Space Jam reference, so I appreciate it.
Welcome to the Space Jam.
If they remade the Space Jam game, I would be down for that.
Well, there's going to be a new movie.
Yeah.
well, then obviously there's got to be a new
Whoa.
game for it.
Michael or LeBron?
LeBron is going to be in the new one.
God.
Well, it can't be. Michael Jordan's got to make a cameo. Like, he has to.
He
You
will.
can't.
He will.
You can't make that movie and not have him be there.
All right, Dan. Personal game of the year.
It's something different from what I put in the script because I thought about it some more.
Oh, good.
It's so my personal game of the year is the one we're not allowed to talk about, Stardew Valley, for me.
Now,
Because-
Stardew
Oh, I
Valley-
gave that to you.
You did.
Stardew Valley came out not this year, right?
It didn't come out this year. No, it came out in 2016 and won a bunch of awards in 2016. But
Got
for
it.
me, it's my game of the year this year, or game of my year. Let's call it. It's the game of my year. How about that?
The game of my
because
heart.
I spent a lot of time playing it, and also I feel like I got stuff out of it. You know,
What did you get out of
It
it?
had.
He got
well,
a girlfriend.
I got a girlfriend.
A digital girlfriend.
A digital girlfriend. That's really only the type of girlfriend I can get. Let's be honest.
Game Brew listeners, if you're out there and you're single, send us an email at thegamebrew@gmail.com and I'll set you up with Dan Rotz.
I'm just gonna post an application there. It'll just be like, do you
Dan
have any
enjoys
references?
long grind sessions in his RPGs.
Whoa! Oh
No, I don't.
In his
I do
RPGs.
not actually. I don't appreciate those. In the RPGs. But the reason I picked that as my game of the year is because it's like I spent a lot of time playing it, and also I spent a lot of time thinking about it whenever I wasn't playing it. You know, like I had to plan stuff. Like whenever I was going, I was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do today. Like I get home from work, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna farm all these beets. I'm gonna farm all these corns. I'm gonna sell those beets and corns, and I'm gonna go do some mining. If I'm too tired from the mining, I'm gonna go to bed. If I find some energy, maybe I'll do some other stuff. I
You'll
know
go
we
to
said,
Home Depot. I don't know. I don't know if there'll be time.
am I gonna, no, Jojo Mart's closed in my
Good. Fuck
Stardew
Jojo
Valley
Mart.
place, so I would not go there. Instead, I would just make it myself because, gosh darn it, I'm ingenuitive.
By the sweat of one's own brow.
Indeed, and the sweat. Yeah,
That book should, or that game should come with a copy of Self-Reliance, I think.
what? I'm sorry.
I said that game should come with a copy of Self-Reliance? The book
Like-
by Ralph Waldo Emerson?
Oh, okay.
That
Not all
was-
of us know how to read, Ian.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Just quit
we're
taunting
basically
us.
illiterate.
Literary
so-
jokes aside.
Movie jokes, no literary jokes. Movie jokes.
never learned to read.
I'm going to talk about my game of the year, my personal game of the year, and it is What Remains of Edith Finch. So did I talk about this game last episode?
You talked about it
I
last
believe
episode.
so.
Man, I don't know what
So,
else to say about
sorry.
it then, but it was great. It was really incredible.
That's enough.
That's okay.
Cut it right there. Just
Moving
kidding.
on.
Yeah. If you want to hear my thoughts, you can listen to the Game Brew episode 20.
That sounds like a will game. If you like To the Moon
Oh,
so
yeah.
much.
Yeah,
outdated
it's
one
super
for-
narrative, very narrative. Not at all. There's not a lot of gameplay. It's also plays with themes of death quite intensely.
That's funny. Will, I thought you were less of a
I know.
that type of game person.
He sort of seems like
No.
it's like Will's got like the two extremes. There's like the complete mindless, like just button pushing of CS:GO on one hand, and on the other hand,
CS:GO is not button pushing. There is
if
strategy.
7-year-olds can play it, then it's button mashing.
it's a-
Sorry.
It's a reflex shooter.
yeah, exactly. It's a reflex shooter. There's not a lot of like thinking involved. It's like playing.
It's not like
And then
Battlefield where you have to like
Yeah.
do a little bit of strategy.
And then there's on the other hand To the Moon, which is just a story, which is awesome. I think that's great.
I love.
you need
I
to
love
explore
story
this
in my
middle
games.
area. There's a lot of crunchy stuff in here, Will, that you're missing out on.
I can't wait till we talk about what's going to happen next year.
Okay,
He
we'll talk
loves
about
that rye
it. We'll
bread,
talk about it.
Because yeah.
but not the pastrami.
All right, Chris, personal game of the year.
Oh man. So this game just pushed all the right buttons with me because I love Total War and I love Warhammer, and I finally got around to really investing a ton of time into it this year, especially recently. And man, like they did such a great job of making every army so unique, and so every playthrough with different armies is so unique. And I know that there are was a ton of controversy with this game about releasing some of the armies because they would charge them as DLCs, or the Chaos Army was done as a day one DLC. So there was a ton of people that were really mad about it. But I just waited until they were all on sale.
That's a good idea.
So like I get to enjoy playing them now.
Right.
I don't know. I think they were just fantastic.
That's
just
cool.
The whole, like if you're into Warhammer, you'd love it. If you're into Total War, you'll love it also. Like it's just, I love it.
I want to get into an RTS again. It's been a while. I want to get into one.
We should play some Age of Empires 2.
This one you can play with like a co-op campaign, which is a lot of fun too.
Oh, like you can be on the same side?
Yeah, and like so one army could be like the Empire, which is kind of like German/human guys that have cannons and stuff like that. And then there's the Bretonnians that are basically French but follow Arthurian legend and are basically all knights. And like if you have the two of them together, you can go in battles to get like if you both go in the same battle, you can have like super heavy horses with your artillery. It's awesome.
Didn't you do that recently where you played for like an entire day with somebody?
Yeah, my friend Tyler came over and we sat next to each other and played this game for like 18 hours.
Oh my god. I don't know if I have the patience for something like that anymore.
It was fun.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that was personal games of the year. Just to go through them again, for Chris it was Total War Warhammer. For Dan it was Stardew Valley. For Will it was To the Moon. Mine was What Remains of Edith Finch. And Alex was NBA 2K17. What's interesting is that we only have 2 games up for the Game Brew Game of the Year award. Very prestigious award, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot riding on this. All kinds of contracts, endorsements, advertising money.
Yeah, this is where you put the awards music in the cut, so just put it really, right there.
I like, my hands are sweaty right now.
Mom, spaghetti.
And the contestants are... Thank you, Dan. Player Unknown's Battleground.
Uh-huh.
Did they ever figure out who that guy is, by the way?
It's unknown.
No one knows. It's a mystery to this day.
I keep looking all over. I keep thinking that's what that circle on the map is for. It's like, he's here somewhere. Like they're narrowing it down for you. But I always die before I find out.
That's funny.
Or maybe maybe that's the point. Maybe the last person standing, the chicken dinner winner, is the player. And they're no longer unknown.
Wow.
Because it's your battleground, because you killed everyone.
How many minds did I just blow with that philosophical...
At least 2.5.
Well, none, because it's a real person. But, that's fine. It's all right.
So, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, or Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was released for Nintendo Switch and Wii U this past year.
Zelda music.
Can I throw in an honorable mention? Seriously?
Yes, and then we're not going to talk about it anymore.
I'm just saying, look at the scores. I'm just saying, Divinity Original Sin 2 crushed everywhere it went. Amazing scores. You don't get 10s from GameSpot unless you earn that 10 from GameSpot. It's got like an 93, 94, 95, something on Metacritic. It just deserves. I just think it deserves to be mentioned. Amazing
that
game.
Came out this year?
We can move on.
Yeah, it came out.
Yeah,
recently,
2
a couple
did.
months ago.
Did you play that at all, Will?
Not the second one, but I played the first enough to know that it's probably really damn good.
Yeah. Also, Cuphead could have probably been. I didn't play it, but I know.
I wouldn't put that as game.
Yeah, the problem with both of those is they're too narrowly focused in terms of they don't have the breadth of audience space that the other
They don't
two
have
do.
the breadth of the wild.
I want to say that PUBG is not the game of the year because of its polish or because of anything like that. I think it's just really damn impressive that it is now has the highest concurrent player base on Steam, even over
Rightfully
Dota.
So.
It's certainly the most
that is
popular
nuts.
game of the year, for sure, above any other.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily makes it the best, but that is, you're right, Chris, it's impressive. So,
No, but like, I mean, obviously people like playing it. It's a phenomenon for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, from the PUBG people point of view, so those of you who think that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the game of the year, tell me why.
Okay. So what Dan here. Hi.
We couldn't
I
tell.
You couldn't?
Everyone needs
No,
to
it's my
self-identify
timbre.
now every time you talk.
Hi, this is Dan. I just wanted to. Hi, Dan. So I think PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is what I selected as the game of the year because it kind of opened up the battle royale market. Like, I mean, now of course I remember playing the Hunger Games in Minecraft, like in server stuff on the computer like 6 years ago, but like this kind of opened that type of thing up where it's like, oh, it's every man for himself, or it's like, oh, it's groups for themselves. It started out as every man for himself, but and it just kind of opened up this new game type. So now you have that. You have Fortnite is the other one that is copying it, their battle royale mode.
Well, there was H1Z1 before that.
H1Z1 was before that, but H1Z1 is what PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was because he made that mod for Arma 3,
yeah,
and then they stole it from him, which is why he made PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. So like,
wait.
So
Can you walk through that a little bit more in depth because that didn't make any sense to me. So he made PUBG because somebody stole a mod from him from Arma 3?
It was DayZ, right?
There was a mod for Arma called DayZ,
right,
which turned into H1Z1.
Because the I forget what company owns Arma. If somebody wants to look that up real quick, but they saw that this was doing well, so they took that concept and made it H1Z1.
Made their own standalone called H1Z1.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah. Even though his was already super popular, once they did that, they didn't give him any royalties. They were like, oh no, this isn't your game. It's our thing. We made it, so it's our thing. So he was like, okay, I'll make my own thing too. So he made PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is a little bit closer to what he actually wanted it to be also. And apparently people enjoy it. So,
but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds does take some of the architecture from Arma, no? Or it's completely from the ground up different?
That's from the ground up different. They developed their own. I mean, it might take some of the tropes from the actual, like it's a third person shooter,
right?
Kind of
with
stuff,
like realistic kind of gun mechanics,
yeah.
Blah blah blah.
But other than that, I think that's about it.
Got it.
I mean, I think it's for sure more arcadey than Arma is.
Oh
True.
yeah, Arma's definitely
very realistic.
It's a sim.
Yeah.
So
that's Bohemio Interactive, by the way.
Got it.
Thank you.
So
Thanks, Chris.
one of the questions I had was, why is it? So that's the history of it, but why is it the game of the year for you, Dan?
Because it develops such a large player base so quickly. Like, it's not even that it was because there are games that do that, and then kind of dissipate.
Destiny.
This one,
Destiny
yeah,
2.
exactly. Yeah, it develops this huge player base, but with PUBG, it developed this huge player base, and it just kept going. Like, it either kept growing or it stayed, kind of the same. And they've also been adding updates to it so regularly and like in a way that's actually helping the game to progress as a game that makes me happy as a player that they are supporting it. Like when they said, oh, hey, there are going to be updates to the servers and to the gameplay stuff so it's not as chuggy and that you don't get as much lag. They actually dropped the updates that fix those things instead of just talking about it.
I will say it was a buggy mess when it released, and it didn't run well at all on my computer. And I booted it up a week or two ago again when it went into actual 1.0 release, and it runs so much better. There's the new map. The vaulting makes a really big difference in terms of gameplay.
Oh my
Getting
god!
in and
Oh my
out
gosh!
of buildings is you can be much more strategic about it.
Yeah.
And their faithfulness is something that I do appreciate for sure. Chris, you were kind of on the fence between PUBG and Breath of the Wild. So do you want to stake a claim or do you want to hang out in the middle?
I'm hanging out in the middle because I think that they're both significant games. I mean, I think that PlayerUnknown is going to be what CSGO was for forever. Like, I think that, it's going to take over. It's taken over already a lot of those players. Like, it's going to be...
It's going to be
or at least the style of game is going to be for the forefront. Yeah, it's going to be to the forefront of competitive gaming for a while.
But interestingly, it doesn't have the competitive scene right now that an Overwatch does, or even really CS:GO. It doesn't play quite as well.
Overwatch is supported by Blizzard. So.
No. But I'm saying, like, if we're talking about competitive games, it doesn't have that same support. Maybe you don't see as many tournaments or as many high profile players playing battle.
But a lot of Twitch streamers are doing
But
it.
a lot of Twitch streamers are. So it could go that way. I just feel like what am I trying to say? I feel like the format of the game is tougher to follow competitively.
Well, it's not set up for. It's not team based.
Right.
It's squad based, but it's not team based. So you can't have like an esport based around PUBG.
Or could you?
Uh,
I think they're trying it. I know that there was a tournament somewhere that was giving away money for it.
I just think it's very, very cool.
Okay,
And
so on one hand,
it's just a great concept.
PUBG is very cool, totally fresh concept, and on the other hand, Chris,
Zelda.
on the other hand, Zelda.
On the other hand, Zelda. So, I mean, Breath of the Wild is a great game. It runs on hardware that
It has no business
shouldn't
running
really
on.
be able to, and it runs well on it. Like, it runs on the Wii U really well. It looks great. They chose a great art style for that. Like, it looks great. The music's great. The gameplay's great. The story's
Fine.
pretty good. But like they create like
salty.
the story is more about the world. Like the world they created is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's still Hyrule, so it's only like it's not like they're reinventing the wheel, but it's like a really cool version of it, and like being able to explore all those places is just fantastic. And some of the things you can do, like as far as creatively using your environment to your advantage and solving puzzles in ways that the developers probably didn't expect you to do them, and the freedom that you have in that game is so complex and so great.
Yeah, it's the best example of a sandbox game I think that's out there. And it's a big transition for Zelda too, because Zelda very much used to live in the realm of Metroidvania, where it is you get this thing, then you can go on to the next dungeon and complete that dungeon, and then you get the next thing, and then you can do the next set of dungeon stuff. It was open world, but it was always a very guided world. And this, to me, Breath of the Wild is the game of the year because it's a sandbox that you're never bored in. Every other sandbox game I've ever played, Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, there's just always reached a limit where I'm like, I'm bored. I don't really feel like doing anything. Zelda Breath of the Wild, just point yourself in any direction and go.
Yeah, and sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
No questions.
No questions. Okay, that's fine.
No questions.
There have been
Questions.
no questions this evening.
What is it? What's up?
When's the last time you played Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Me?
Yeah.
It's been a while. I've been playing lots of other stuff.
Okay.
So I rolled the credits maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I booted it up again a couple weeks ago to do the second DLC stuff. And like I started off doing the DLC, and then I wandered back into the original game content and was happy as a clam. And that's why I'm so blown away by it. It makes you feel like you live there. It's one of the few games that really makes me feel like I live there.
Okay. That's kind of like a Skyrim type of stuff, which is why Skyrim was so popular for so long, is because it didn't like it was an open world game, but it felt like you belonged in that world whenever
You made it
you
your
were playing
world.
it. Yeah, you made it your stuff. Or like Fallout. It's the same kind of thing. Depending. I mean, depends on who you ask, but apparently. I don't know, I thought it was
Right. So, Alex, you had PUBG as your game of the year. Tell us why.
I again just the sheer popularity of the game from even an early stage, like looking at the charts. How long was it in beta for? Until like the summer?
It just came out.
Yeah,
it literally just released.
It
so
went to 1.0 in December. Like
yeah,
December
so
20th
like
or something.
I mean, it in September it was at 1.5 million concurrent players. I mean, that's insane. Like the game isn't even fully out and it already has that many players. Yeah.
Paying customers.
Like the next underneath of it on Steam's charts right now is Dota 2, and it's like 704,000.
Which is a free game.
It's
Wow.
it's not even
Concurrent.
close.
Jesus.
And Dota is
And
big.
the crazy
Dota 2 not as big as Dota. But,
Well, that's what Dota 2 is big.
and
Yeah.
you have your Counter-Strike Global Offensive at 58,000.
That's dropped a lot.
A lot of people have gone over
Yeah,
to PUBG.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it was shocking how many people played it, even though it wasn't polished. Like the graphics weren't the best, like not top shelf graphics. The performance servers having issues a lot of the times, and people would sit there and wait for the servers to come back online and then play the game.
I will say the other day I was sitting there and I realized that there was a zombie mode that you can get into now. But you can there's zombie servers, but you can only launch them if you have special permission from the Blue Hole people. And
I'm sorry. That's just a funny way to say
The
from
Blue
the
Hole
Blue Hole
people.
people.
isn't the developer Blue Hole?
It is. It's just a funny way
Okay.
to say you could say from Blue Hole, but you could
From
say
the
from
Blue
the
Hole people. Anyway,
It's like they just live in a blue hole. Or, they had a blue,
a blue
house,
house.
and a
House with
blue
a blue
wife,
window.
and blue da-ba-dee-da-ba-da,
Anyway.
bringing it back to episode 1.
so which will never be released.
No,
ever.
One day.
Ever.
So anyway, so I saw they had a zombie mode, and I sat there like, back in the day, and just clicked on the server until it let me in. Like I would double click and it would say nope, it's full. I would double click, it would say nope, it's full. I probably did this for at least 20 minutes, and then I got into it, and I was super excited because it's a new way to play PUBG. Speaking of, it is very interesting. If any of you get into zombie mode in PUBG, just wait. Run away from the people with guns. You're going to be a zombie. Run away from the people with guns until they live in a tiny area. That's the strategy. It's not complicated. It's not hard. Just run away. Just run away. Everyone in my game ran toward the guns, which was not the thing to do. Just run away.
So
Um,
something
Just stay
else
away
that
from it.
I personally really liked about the game
with me.
is
Yeah.
I like that everyone starts on the same playing field. Like
that does make it a good thing.
the skill is almost literally like just your ability that you have to play the game that you're coming in with. So everyone comes in, no weapons, jump out of the airplane. Whatever you grab is that's what you got.
It's not like Destiny 2 where you jump in and everybody's got all this crazy gear and you have to grind for hours to get it. No, everybody starts at
exactly.
the bottom together. Interesting. Will
You're
you
naked.
And when the servers have horrible errors and drops everyone in the exact same spot in the map, and then it's just a free for all.
Yeah.
Like that's entertaining.
Yeah, it's also kind of a story creator in that way. Like I could tell you stories about games that I played with Chris and Dan of PUBG, and usually it involves some kind of epic road trip because all of our best games of PUBG have a road trip involved. For sure.
Me and Will did really good the other day.
Oh, did
we
you?
had like a
We did
we
all
had
right.
a couple. We were squadding up.
And I don't watch a lot of streaming games, but watching like the highlight reels that people post online of PUBG is so entertaining.
It's hilarious.
I will say too, from like a purely reptile brain perspective, that game, reptile brain, it grabs you by the medulla and it does not let go. Like the whole time, once you get to the end of it and you're like in the top 10, your heart is pounding and you like can't push the
yeah.
right buttons. It gets to you. It's very tense at the end.
It's intense.
Ian gets very upset whenever you can't tell him. Like when you say they're shooting at me from east, he's like,
Where?
Like, from the east. I'm like, from where? I'm like, I told you from the east. I don't know where from else.
I'm more concerned about where they are than your well-being.
Is
I
it
apologize.
215 or 293? Is it I don't know.
Will, interestingly, you had Breath of the Wild as your game of the year, but you haven't played it.
Yeah, I mean that's just me saying that that's what I think people are gonna pick. That's about as far as that goes.
That's what people are gonna pick.
That's what people
What
are
did
gonna
okay?
pick.
Let's put that
What
on the
did you think
t-shirt.
it was then?
If it were up to me, if this were the
If you were
Republic
the
of Shell and
president
I laid down the law and dictated this, here is your game of the year.
Peasants?
Go play peons.
Yes.
Peasants. It would be PUBG. It would be PUBG.
So Will PUBG, Alex PUBG, Dan PUBG, Chris.
Have we swayed him? Have we swayed him? This is when the waiting
this
music
is like
plays.
John McCain giving the thumbs down right now. This is very dramatic.
No, because Breath of the Wild is such a more polished game.
Yeah,
It has so much more polish.
that's where I'm at too. Is that
It was released in full. I will give it
Yeah.
that. It was released like at once.
I'm gonna stick with Breath of the Wild too. So that's it. That's our game of the year. Either PUBG or Breath of the Wild. You go with which one you think is great.
They're both great.
They're both great.
They're both great.
wonderful.
You can't go wrong.
So, Game Brew listeners, tell us what your game of the year is. Send us an email at thegamebrew@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and let us know what you're thinking about that. We're going to take a quick break, but Chris has a word for our sponsors or something.
I just want to say that, like, I don't know if you guys realize how great of a year this was for video games. It was really fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
I
wonderful.
mean,
It was definitely very like, as far as video gaming as a weird, like, as just experiences goes, is very good. Like with VR and with
there was good
Switch
single player
Switch, oh my
and
experiences.
with
God.
single player stuff. And
Single player.
I mean,
So,
there
a
was
lot
the
of that.
bad stuff with EA and the whole box, the loot crate box thing, but like overall, this year was really good. I mean, Assassin's Creed had a uptick. Like, it was a much better year for that.
Did Overwatch?
Resident Evil 7. Dan was over
When
the
did
moon about
Overwatch
that.
come out?
I love Resident
Overwatch?
I think
Evil 7.
Overwatch came out last
Overwatch
year.
They
was
came
last
out with
year.
the new. That's what I needed to do. They came out with the new expansion for Resident Evil 7, and I got to play that.
I mean, Prey was a Prey. I played Prey now that I got it last week or whenever that episode was. That was great. That was fantastic.
Super Mario Odyssey was really, really amazing.
Chris, I think you're right. And this is one of the few years I can remember where, other than Stardew Valley, and that's really only me and crotchety people like myself, like,
Well, that came
this
out
is-
last year.
This is okay.
That came
Thank
out
God.
last year, yeah.
Thank God.
Well,
this
this
has been
year
a
on the
year
Switch,
where
but-
people. There hasn't been a lot of bitching about video games. It's largely been like a really positive year, and like
I
excitement.
Disagree.
there hasn't been a ton of bitching about games.
There's been a ton of bitching about EA
I disagree.
Okay,
Oh,
but
okay.
EA deserved it.
EA aside,
and Destiny.
They deserved it. Destiny.
who bitched about Destiny?
It's been
A
Shut
about
ton
up.
of people
average.
bitched about Destiny
It's
too.
an average amount, just about the same amount of people that bitched about Star Wars. So you could hear them, but it didn't stick around long enough.
But I mean, overall, this year has been
Yeah, it's
really
been
good.
super solid.
if 2018 is better than 2017, I will be.
I'd be
fucking
shocked.
impressed.
I,
You know?
in video games, I will say that 2017 was pretty shitty year outside
For
of
the real
video
world, the
gaming,
real world was pretty shitty.
which
I
is
did
maybe
not
why
like
the video
real
games
world.
were so good.
Could be.
Ooh, all right.
Let's explore that topic on another.
Yeah,
podcast.
we are going to go ahead and take a break. We'll see you in the second half. We'll be right back. Stick with us. Hello and welcome back to the second half of the Game Brew Podcast, episode 21. We have not talked about Dan's beer of the year. Dan, what's your beer of the year, man?
I'm getting progressively drunker as this podcast goes on
So the birther.
because I'm drinking Golden Monkey, which is oh, that's fun. I'm drinking Golden Monkey, which is from Victory Brewing, of course.
Victory!
It's a Belgian. It's a
That's a Belgian guy.
It's a
words.
Belgian style.
It's a
triple.
bullshit.
It's a
Hey,
Bel-
hey, Dan, what
Yeah.
kind of style is it?
It's a Belgian style triple beer. It's pretty hefty. It makes you drunk.
Hey,
like,
Dan.
faster.
Dan, could you do the alphabet backwards, please?
Sure.
Can you do it sober?
Z
I can.
Z Y is this net one X W T U V
That is not correct.
That's not right at all.
So
It's a good thing I'm not driving a car. I'm sitting in my desk
So what
chair.
is-
No
what
GTA
about-
for you.
what
tonight.
about Golden Monkey is the beer of the year for you?
Well, Golden Monkey for me is the beer of the year because not only it's high in alcohol content, which makes me happy. Like halfway through the first half, my face was really warm, and
now it's
that
just
made
numb.
me happy. Just like this is great. Everything about what's happening now is awesome. But it's not that it's like it's strong, but it also tastes good. You know, because that's the problem with some strong beers is you drink them and they don't taste good. They just taste like alcohol. With this, it tastes more like a delicious beer. It's got it's Belgian style. I love Belgian style beers.
I love Belgians.
So that helps. The
Just
Belgians know
everyone
how
for
to
The
brew
Belgians
beer,
are
man.
good people.
They got it. They know it. It tastes a little bit like bananas. That's always nice.
You
It's
taste like
refreshing.
banana.
It's from my hometown, which is awesome too.
Oh.
You know, that's brewed out in Downingtown. That's a little bit of an appeal for me, just because it's so nice that it's right there.
Golden Monkey has a certain appeal.
Oh, God, I knew a pun was coming when you made that face. I didn't know what it was going to be.
That's great. It's great. It's great.
It's great. No, it is great. I love it.
Alex,
I'm on beer number 3.
What is your beer of the year?
So my beer that I am drinking is the Allagash White,
White.
White.
which this was what we drank
White.
in episode 3, so very early on. But Allagash is one of my favorite breweries. It's up in Maine, and I've had a lot of their stuff because they sell a lot of their stuff up in Maine whenever I go up there each year. But it's Belgium style wheat.
We like the
Belgians.
Belgians.
And,
That, wait, 1, 2, 3 Belgian
They know how to
style
party, dude.
beers?
They're
Barty.
one, it's easy to drink, and I still am my tolerance after coming back from basic is still not that high, so it doesn't take a lot to get me drunk. So a nice 5% beer is easier to drink multiples of, and it's a nice crisp beer. I don't mind drinking it during the winter. It's awesome in the summer too. It's kind of an all-around beer. You can drink it whenever.
That's what I will say. That's what I'll say about Belgians is that the Belgian style beers, they don't have a particular season that they gear well towards.
That's true.
You could kind of drink them whenever,
They're versatile.
and it still feels good. Yeah.
Those
Versatile.
versatile Belgians.
All right. So that's it. 2017 is behind us. All the good things that happened, we will remember them. All the bad things that happened, we'll try to forget them. And 2018 is now upon us. It is January 2nd. We don't know anything about what's going to happen this coming year, but we're going to make some predictions here at the Game Brew.
Speak for yourself.
We are going to stake a claim. We're going to draw
Stake?
a line in the
Stake?
sand.
I heard steak.
Did you say steak?
I did
Steak.
say steak. And we're going to make some predictions about this coming year. So, Dan, I want to hear some predictions that you have about the gaming year in 2018.
All right. Here are my predictions for 2018 that I want to say is that one is that I don't think the Switch is going to go below $299 this year.
I think that's a fair prediction. I don't think anybody's going to fight.
Like, are you talking about like on sale, or are you talking about MSRP?
I'm talking like on sale anything.
No.
Because if anything, Switch sales were okay for the end of 2017.
14 something million.
Yeah, and 2018, I think they're just going to see more of them happen because they're releasing more games
agree.
and because more things are happening. So I really think that they're not going to drop the price on it anytime soon because they're still seeing gains from
Even
it.
if you
So-
listen to like the second Game Brew episode, we are asking a lot of questions about the Switch at that point. We don't know if it's going to be a success. We're not sure if third parties are going to invest in it. We don't know if indie games are going to come to it. There were so many doubts about the console, and now all of that is out the window. I think Dan's prediction about that is solid.
Mm-hmm. That's prediction number 1. All right, prediction number 2. You ready?
I don't know if I am.
All right, but doesn't matter. Shenmue 3, it's not going to happen this year. It's definitely not coming out.
What is Shenmue for those of us who might not know?
You're totally one of those people. But Shenmue was one of the games that came out on PlayStation where it's basically like a life simulator.
A life, like
But-
Second Life?
Well, it's kind of like you play a character who your father is murdered by a guy. You got to go avenge his death. It's very much like a it's almost like a Chinese revenge movie, but as a video game.
Okay.
And it was super popular, like definitely like Shenmue 2, very popular game, did a lot of stuff that happened that was popular now in RPGs before it was popular.
Such as
Like, you could go quick time events was one of the things it did before a lot of people did. Open worlds was a lot of the things. Time-based objectives in games was one of the things it did. If you haven't played Shenmue 2 or don't know what Shenmue 2 is, look it up. It's very, very important to gaming. Now, in E3 2015, they announced they were doing a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3. I think by 9 p.m. that day, they reached their $2 million goal. And then they said they were starting development on it. They slated it for a 2018 release, but I don't know. The way it's going, I don't think it's going to be released this year at all. It's probably not until 2019. Maybe early 2019 it'll be released.
I don't have any horse in this game. Does anybody else have something to contribute?
Do you guys know about Shenmue at all? Or is it just me?
I know what Shenmue is.
I remember watching the E3 when they announced it, and people went fucking apeshit.
I'm looking at the screenshots for it that are on the interwebs, and it does not look good.
Are you looking at ones from Shenmue?
The
2?
original
No, I'm looking at
Shenmue was
Shenmue
such
3.
a big deal because it was so groundbreaking and hadn't really been done before. It was
It was like the first time that a lot of that stuff had happened.
Yeah, well, that was the Dreamcast did a lot of that. There was a lot of innovative
Mhm.
type gaming and whatnot. I think for the new one to be successful, it's going to have to not just be a good game, but be a little bit innovative.
All
with
right.
its gameplay.
So Dan thinks this is not coming out this year. I think that's a pretty safe prediction there, Dan. What do you got that's like sexy? What's your out there prediction?
Chris is going to meet Geralt in real
Geralt.
life. They're going to get married and
Geralt.
adopt 2 horses.
They're both gonna be named Roach, and you
Yeah,
know
both
what?
of them.
If he was there to hold me at night, I would feel so safe.
If he was there to take a
You
tub
would.
with,
But you're not one of those sexy ladies that he's looking for, though, you know?
I feel like
You're
Geralt
right,
can swing
it's
both
true.
ways. I know he probably doesn't
He
in the
doesn't-
movies.
No,
or the
I'm pretty
books,
sure he
but
can't.
I think he could.
Nope.
In every form of him ever. I don't think
I
so.
think so. I
He's the James Bond of killing monsters.
guarantee you there is a vital and active fan fiction of Geralt being gay. I guarantee it.
I mean, if you
Oh,
can
of
think
course
of it,
there is.
it's there. So.
No, I
Yeah,
mean,
Rule
I'm just
34.
saying.
Rule 34.
I'm just saying, like, I could totally see it. I mean, he's such a player.
But I do want to say that's my fake one, but my real like sexy news. I think that this year we're going to see a GTA 6,
Tease.
at least a teaser for something like that, because I know Red Dead Redemption is slated to come out. Red Dead Redemption 2 is slated to come out this year at some point, or they keep saying that. But I think because they're almost done with that, or at least the game's finished, we have seen a lot of expansions for the GTA Online stuff. But GTA 5 came out such a long time ago that it's pretty much almost time for a new GTA. Like, they could definitely be in the works for something right now.
So I completely disagree.
Oh.
Rockstar has been riding the shit out of GTA 5, and they've been doing it for years. That game released in 2013,
It did.
and they have been riding it forever. And
Mhm.
this also kind of goes along with one of my predictions for 2018, but I completely disagree. Like Rockstar has completely gotten rid of their cycle for GTA. Like,
Really?
it used to be every
5 years.
I mean, it used to be less than that,
Yeah, you're right.
and it's been way longer with Red Dead Redemption,
Well-
which is basically.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So GTA 3 released in 2001, GTA 4 released in 2008, GTA 5 released in 2013.
So Red Dead Redemption came out a year after 4, or 2 years
Right.
after 4, and it's the same team.
Man, so we should be we should be about ready for Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe it does release in 2018.
It's going to release in 2018.
No,
So
they
this
said
is-
it was supposed to
This
release
is
in
this is my
2018.
prediction. I think it's going to release in 2018. I think it's going to be pushed back again, though. It was supposed to come out in fall 2017.
Oh, was it?
It's true. Yeah,
It
it was
was.
supposed
It
to come
was-
out later this year. I remember.
I think it's going to be pushed back again. I think it's going to be summer 2018.
Instead of like
I
February
remember-
or something.
I think we talked about this in I think maybe like the 4th or 5th episode where we were talking about things we were excited for this year, and the thing that I was excited for was Red Dead Redemption 2, and that does not come out yet.
So much for that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the same team that released that works on both. Like, it's both Rockstar North.
Yeah. Yeah, I would put my money on not seeing anything for GTA 6 then,
I'd be shocked.
because they seem a little bit slow. Let's see. What else we have? We have here, let's go to Will. Will, what's your prediction for 2018?
I think, and I'm not good at predictions. I'm just throwing it out there.
You're drinking
So I'm
old
apologetic to
Rasputin. You should
begin
be
with.
great at predictions.
You know what?
He can
I
predict a lot of
think-
stuff.
And let me finish before you start bitching. I think that
Penis in the jar.
virtual reality, VR as intended, is going to finally die away. And
What do you mean
What?
as
good-
intended?
And
Wait, what?
good God, do I hope so, until they figure out a way to like work through I don't know, moving
Clarify, Will. Clarify as intended.
immersion in the experience and like as if you're actually there. What I think is going to happen and what I would love to have happen is for those headsets to turn into like big ass like projector screen wall sized television screens, which is already a technology, but I'd like to see that for games. In other words, not the immersion of it, not being in the game as if it were reality, but just like you put the visor on and you got a big ass IMAX size screen.
Oh,
in
so
front
more
of you.
augmented reality, less virtual. Dan.
Yes.
I don't know why they would do that whenever virtual reality is possible. I mean, Alex has worked in this
Virtual
area.
reality is possible, but it sucks right now. Everything I've played on it is, and yes, the technology's young, but like if I'm going to play a first person game, I need to be able to move around. Not like, okay, throw a thing over here, now my character moves over there. Throw a thing over, now my character.
Is that
The
your
best
only,
games are stationary games, but the novelty of them wears off very quickly.
Is that your only problem with that?
Well, no, it's like 3D to me. It's very gimmicky. I just don't enjoy.
Well-
It's gimmicky. I'm not sold on any experiences yet.
Will, tell us, before we go to a couple other people who I do want to have weigh in here, tell us what experience have you've had in VR. So, like, what games have you played on what
I've only
hardware?
played the Vive, and to be fair, I only played the Vive much earlier in the year, so I haven't played some of the later titles,
Okay.
which I realize here. But I've played, what's the one? Junkyard Wars or Junkyard something. Everything that
Junkyard
originally came
Wars.
out in the first few months. I played my buddy Ryan's Vive. I went over to his place one break and just played a whole bunch of stuff. I played the audio one. I played something with I
That
don't
would be
remember all the
Hover
names.
Junkers for Vive.
Hover Junkers. Thank
Hover
you.
Junkers. I was going to say. Junkyard Wars that's the TV show where they
I
build
love
stuff out
that
of junk.
TV show.
That was a
God, I
great
love
TV
that
show.
TV
All right.
show.
Hashtag bring back Junkyard Wars.
All right.
that show.
Fucking no!
and BattleBots
I'm not
were the
letting you
shit.
get off topic. Alex, tell us about your experiences with VR. What do you think it's going to happen in 2018? Do you think Will's right? They're going to blow it up and turn it into something different?
So, I mean, if the last time Will played VR was like early in the year,
Like release, he's talking about Vive release titles right now.
yeah, and so
Yeah,
much
much
has
earlier.
changed since then. So many of those games, the developers were still like trying to wrap their heads around. Okay, so we have to take this virtual reality game and put it in this engine, and we don't know what this engine will do, but we're gonna put it in there and see what happens. And that's what VR development has been for the past 2 years. Has been like, we don't really know what we can do, so we're gonna try this. And then halfway through development, we realize what it actually does. So now we have to rewrite our entire game to use the engine how it actually is meant to work.
So you're saying that developers are just starting to really understand how the architecture of VR works and how to make it work for a personal experience.
I think so. And now that they've had like this 2 years of kind of testing out some titles, a lot of those kinks have been worked out. So like the refresh rate. So when people were complaining of motion sickness, a lot of that has gone away now. It still is there for some people that are super sensitive to it, but I can put on a headset now and play for like an hour or two.
Nice.
And there were a lot of really good games that came out. Robo Recall, which was
I've seen
arcade,
so much on that.
Arcade action style game.
Skyrim VR was supposed to be really good.
Yep.
The Resident Evil VR was like super respectable. What else?
LA Noire VR looks really fun.
They did Doom VR.
Doom VR,
Doom
but
VR.
yeah.
Yep.
And Fallout 4 VR.
4.
Any Bethesda game VR.
Bethesda, the studio that doesn't make new games, it just keeps releasing old ones.
Skyrim for your calculator.
That's all really encouraging. And don't get me wrong, I really want the technology to work because nothing would please me more in my old age to be able to plug in Neo style into the Matrix and just go to town on some PUBG at like that level of virtual reality.
So Will,
but
here are some things why I think that VR could be really, really good in 2018. And now this does open up a whole bunch of other issues, but this year,
crack it open.
This year, there's supposed to be
cracking open a call with my boys.
I think there's supposed to be 3 or 4 standalone headsets coming out. Oculus is talking about 2 of them.
3 or 4 like different companies.
Oculus is
coming out with like mobile stuff, kind
2.
of more similar to the Google Daydream. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
The one that is still in development called Santa Cruz, quote unquote. I don't know if that's actually what it's going to be called. I think that it's supposed to be just like Oculus Rift, but in a self-contained headset, which I don't know how they're going to cram that horsepower in there. But
that's going to be a heavy-ass
your head's
headset.
going to get real warm.
Oculus Go is
hot.
the lower-end consumer headset that's kind of like the Samsung Gear VR or the Google Daydream View.
Or the Google Daydream.
The Oculus Go, it's not going to have as much of the head tracking. That's where this other high-end developer, Santa Cruz, that we don't know a lot about yet, is supposed to fit that spectrum. But the Oculus Go is supposed to be only $200. That's the lowest point of entry that we've seen so far.
That's the lowest self-contained.
Well,
the Daydream I think is like $100.
A self-contained one.
But you have to have the phone that goes with it, so it's a little bit.
Then I think HTC is going to come out with a Vive that's also self-contained. But that's going to be like $600, $650 is what they're looking at. So something else that I'm super excited about, just because I'm a big nerd, is for Oculus, they're having a first-person shooter, kind of like Overwatch style, but with Marvel characters, called Marvel Powers United VR, which looks like it's going to be freaking sweet.
Ian, Dan, and I have been playing some Elite Dangerous recently.
We did.
And
we did play some of
that game is made for VR. Like, I can just imagine being able to, like, because you're not really moving around. You don't move, you don't move a person around. You move your ship around. And so it doesn't matter if you're trying to teleport from one point to another point. You're always just sitting in your captain's chair in your spaceship. And to like be able to look around your spaceship and look at your different consoles and kind of like be able to touch them like that, that game is made for VR.
That would be fucking sick.
That is what I'm most excited for to play.
Yeah.
Like I really want a headset just to do
that plays into my prediction for this year. My prediction for this year is that 2018 is the year that there is a headset selling game. That is, there's a console seller, if we think of VR as a console.
a killer app.
A killer app for for VR comes out this year, and people buy VR for that app. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think it's coming out this year.
And I think going with that, I think VR is going to go down in price. I mean, we've seen this already.
Already.
I've seen, and I've almost been tempted to buy it. I've seen Oculus with motion
with the touch
controls.
controllers.
Yeah, for $350 on sale.
Yeah, so
Shut
Oculus's standard price right now is $400. PSVR has been at $300, and some of the best VR offerings are on PSVR. And I feel like that price is like kind of impressive.
Yeah, but you get tied into that ecosystem.
Sure, but
I feel like I'd rather be tied into a PC.
No, I
ecosystem
get
for
that.
VR.
But if you think about a VR experience and the games that are coming out for VR, like PSVR is like a kind of a great entry point for a lot of consumers because they don't have to buy a new market. Or buy a new console, buy a new market. They don't have to buy a new console.
Sure.
So I think that's extremely compelling. But yeah, the price is going to continue to go down. I think this is the year.
Like I say, don't get me wrong. I really want it to succeed, but they're going to have to do something about, first of all, the marketing for it, because it's died down. And I realize we're in kind of a lull with all that, but VR is in no way on the forefront of anybody's brain unless you happen to already have some of that expensive shit. And then I don't know that coming out with lower end headsets is going to be what does that.
Why?
Because you need that high end experience. That's the point of VR. You need a smooth experience.
You don't.
And they're trailing so far behind as it is anyways. They have 200,000 unit quarters, whereas the Xbox One X just had what did they project? Almost 1 million units sold, and it hasn't even been out in a month. The PlayStation 4 still has multi million unit quarters that they ship. All the consoles do. Switch just had a 4.7 million quarter, if I remember correctly, or that was their initial launch. We're barely into the millions with VR by now, and it's not marketed. It's not feasible yet, and low end headsets are not going to cut that.
Well, and the hardware for it is getting cheaper though too.
Well, they'll do
the hardware next year is probably going to be less than $200. Like it was already at $200. It's going to be less than $200 just for the graphics card to do that now.
Do that and make a smooth experience.
Yeah.
Like that's the barrier to entry.
Yeah.
If they don't fix barrier to entry, it's dead. Like you can have a great game, nobody's going to buy it.
Oh, so I was going to just say that I agree with Will in the fact that I think that in order to have a good VR experience and to really hook, line, and sinker everyone is when you have all that comes with VR. So you have head tracking on every headset. Like head tracking is completely necessary. If you don't have head tracking, then basically you've just took a poop and left it on every single sound designer's doorstep that worked on the game and lit it on fire and ran away.
Oh God, I wouldn't want to do that.
Like it. There's so much lost. There's so much detail lost in the game when you take away that head tracking.
And that's what I wanted to say is that it's kind of like the thing about VR is that usually you see like the HTC Vive, you see like these high quality VR platforms, and you need a real expensive machine in order to be able to run anything at like a decent level. So you got to spend a lot of money for it, and that's kind of what it's for. So I have friends who I see like post videos of them playing VR in their friends' houses because you've got that one friend who has a job at some high-ranking government position or whatever, and they actually make money enough that they can do things and buy things that are like that. But like for us normal people, I'm one of you. We're one of us. It's hard to regulate or think about spending that type of money on something that is maybe for Robo Recall, which even though it's a sweet looking game, can you justify spending $2,000 on a game like that?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I think the price point is definitely the barrier. I just think that, the TV started off that way. Only certain families could afford to have TVs in their house. And as the technology got easier to produce, as people got better at making software for the technology, making content for it, the price came down and people bought into it. And I think 2018 is the year that happens. Here's my other prediction for 2018. So Nintendo has said that they want to sell 20 million units of the Switch in 2018. I think they're going to exceed that.
You think they're going to exceed
20
20
do you
million?
think's
20
gonna
million is
drive
like
that?
a rosy prediction. I think they're going to sell more than that.
What do you think's going to drive
People
that?
leaving
I
them
think-
on top of their cars and driving away.
That no,
Uh,
I think
Do you think Metroid's going to
I
drive
think
that?
Metroid. I think if they release a Pokemon game, I think if they release a Monster Hunter game, that those things are gonna sell Switches out the doors. And also, you have to keep in mind they sold 14 million units in 2017, which I think it released in March, and they're just now catching up to being able to keep stores in stock. Like production is just now catching up to demand. I think they're going to crush 20 million units easily.
I think it really depends on the games.
I think
the
it depends on
people.
the price
I think the
point.
people that have already bought it were going to buy it regardless, and it really is going to depend on the games they put out for it.
They're going to go. I'm staking my claim here. I'm going to make the prediction more than 20 million units.
So, if those of us who get our predictions correctly, what do we win? Do we get like a Brewy?
A cookie.
Award? No, a Brewy award.
Brewery.
A Brewy.
Wait, was this a contest? I didn't think it was a contest. I wouldn't have said
We-
that Chris would marry
No,
Geralt
but we
if
will.
that
We
was
will
a-
definitely come back at the end of 2018 and look at our predictions for the year for sure.
My last prediction was I think that Cyberpunk 2077 will release by the end of the year at some point.
I don't think so.
Why not?
I just think that
This is a game they announced.
I
in
know.
2012.
I just think that CDPR is so like they're so committed to quality that they won't release something before it's ready, and I don't think it's going to be ready this year.
I don't think it'll
The
happen.
only thing
either.
the only thing they said for 2017 was that it was the year of Gwent. When people asked about Cyberpunk 2077, they said 2017 was the year of Gwent.
And Gwent's not in 1.0
And that's why
yet.
Yeah,
I know,
Gwent's
but
not even
it
finished, dude.
it has been they've been pushing.
They have. I just think
And 2017
also
was the
not-
year of Gwent. Do you think 2018 is also going to be the year of Gwent?
Well, but isn't Gwent also not really released
no,
yet?
it's
like
not
it's
out.
still in alpha.
Yeah, it's still in. Well, it's 0.9,
It's
so it's beta.
in the same way that PUBG
0.9,
wasn't
sorry.
really out when it was out.
But it also released. Sorry, it's still. But I'm just saying, it's like it did release.
Or
in
like when
2017,
HOTS wasn't out, but it was really out.
Yeah, but
right.
I
Or
just don't.
Overwatch
well,
when it was
I don't-
out, but
I
it
don't know.
wasn't really
like
out.
those collectible card games take a lot of. They take a lot of man hours to make sure they're balanced. They take a lot of man hours to make sure the art is right and the mechanics are right. And there's.
But it's using different people. Like they're not using world builders for.
I mean, that's true, but they
for
are
Gwent-
using
for
like
Gwent, you know, like-
programmers and art people and administrative folk. Like that is taking resources at CDPR
Sure.
away from whatever other project they're working on. And I think Cyberpunk is big enough that it's not going to happen.
I think that they weren't using world builders or quest designers for Gwent. Really?
Rubbers.
Like you could have people working on that the entire time before. Yeah, I
You
don't
could.
know. I think that Cyberpunk 2077 will be released. by
I
the
think
end of
it's a satisfyingly risky proposition, Chris. I appreciate you.
the year. I also just want it to be released by the end of the year. So
It's a lofty goal, one might say.
Something that I'm very excited about. All right, another prediction for 2018 is I think that AR is going to be the buzzword of this year.
Augmented
Yes.
reality, but augmented reality.
Either in the form of like something kind of like Google Glasses, something along those lines. Whether it's your phone or whatnot, I think we're going to see more and more augmented reality, especially after the hype that
success
came out of
of
Pokemon
Pokemon
Go.
Well, and Apple did that whole thing with the what are those moving emojis called? Like the emojis.
Animojis,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean that's
yeah.
AR.
So
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I think
mean,
that,
that could be.
that is going
yeah.
to pick up steam, and to
I mean,
go
it is
off
pretty
of
cool.
that, Niantic is working with Warner Brother Games
Oh,
to create
really?
Harry Potter Wizards Unite,
Ooh,
which
are you
is
serious?
going to
Are you
be
freaking serious
like
about this?
basically Pokemon Go, but with Harry Potter. And so you can
Dude, that's
go
like a
around,
whole-
cast spells. You can go around, pick up artifacts. You can cast spells, see wizards.
So-
You can see characters from Harry Potter like all over the place, just like Pokemon.
So we're gonna see people with their phones like just like going like Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh man, if you have to wave your phone, that would be
Yeah.
hilarious.
So-
No, you'd have to. I mean, if it's a Harry Potter thing, you'd have to wave.
Dude,
your
I
phone
hope
like
you have to
that.
wave your phone.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what one word or one phrase, like game only, because we don't have time to talk about it, but game only. What one game are we all most excited about for this year?
I'm
Shit.
excited for
start.
the
Or Ian
that
can start.
survival version of Metal Gear Solid. What is it called?
Metal Gear
Death-
Solid.
Death Stranding or something?
Oh,
No,
that's
that's
not Metal
not-
Gear Solid
that's
at
not
all.
Metal-
That's
that's
by
different.
Koji, but it's not Metal Gear.
Right, but that. Wait a second. Hold on. What is it?
There's
It's Metal
Metal
Gear
Gear-
Survive or something.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Mine.
Metal Gear Survive.
Death Stranding, something that has babies involved. That's something completely different. It's so weird looking.
Mine is Detroit Become Human from Quantic Dream,
Ooh,
which is
that
the same
looks
people who
cool.
did Heavy Rain.
That could be very interesting. Heavy Rain was a little bit of a meh, but like, but I think that has a lot of like social,
Mm-hmm.
like commentary stuff in it too, which is really neat.
It does.
Chris?
I have two games. Obviously, well, we already talked about Cyberpunk 2077.
Of course,
Hopefully that comes out.
hopefully.
But have you guys heard of A Way Out?
Yes.
Yes, I did hear
That
about
game
that.
looks awesome. I love co-op games.
Me too.
Games
And so like
only-
this is kind of
that's
like
made
it's
to
an only
be
co-op
played
game.
co-op.
Yeah. So it's where you're two guys and you're trying to escape a prison. So you try to like one guy distracts prison guards while another one like picks a lock or something like that. And
Oh,
it looks
cool.
really
I
cool. It's going to be a lot
remember
of
the
fun.
first time
And
I
it's-
met Andy Dufresne.
And it's from EA, so to get both guys, you get to buy the game twice. So
Probably.
that should be
God,
exciting.
that would suck.
That would be
I
awful.
hope they learned their lesson. I think there was
No.
No.
Here's one of my other predictions. So EA/BioWare's big thing in 2018 is going to be Anthem, right? This third person like mech suit shooter that
Yep.
they have brewing up. And I think it is going to be a critical failure and that there are going to be microtransactions that people are going to hate them.
I think if it does have microtransactions, that yes, you are
It
correct.
will. It will.
right.
And people will hate them.
All right. Hey Alex, what game are you excited for in
NBA
2018?
2K18.
I'm excited
No.
to finally play
Maybe.
I Am Bread.
Yes. Yes.
Now that I've finished the tutorial. I really this may be the year that I buy a PS4.
Me
because one,
Is it because of Final
I
Fantasy
really
7?
want to play MLB
'Cause
the
that's not coming
show
out this year.
because it's
Yeah, it's not gonna
it's
come
the
out this year.
only
You kidding me?
console right now that has a MLB game. But also
That's true.
the rebirth of God of War looks really good too.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It
does
looks
look good.
really good.
That does look really cool.
Alex, what do you like about the MLB game? Like, do you like playing the game, or do you like the strategy, like the trying to make the moves and being the manager?
I
kind of
like
thing?
playing a season as a team. So I like
Okay.
playing the games.
Man,
so
that's
you don't
really-
like the
No.
management as much.
No, the management
Okay.
stuff is
Then
is
never mind.
bleh.
But the camaraderie there, man.
Because
I like
if you like the
about.
management, let me tell you, I got something for you.
no, I like the pitch to pitch playing of the game and the actual strategy of like, oh, I'm going to shift my outfield like in or to the right for this hitter, stuff like that.
Wait, so should
Yeah,
I
that's gonna be late.
should I say what mine
yeah, go
is?
Dan.
Yeah, it's Red Dead Redemption 2. I really hope it's released this year.
It'll release this year. I think it's just gonna be late.
I really hope it's released on time. I
really
was
not
playing
going to.
GTA 5 waiting for you idiots to get online whenever you all did like one at a time and not all at the same time.
There's
Um,
something about GTA Online on the Xbox that just rubs me the wrong way. I just can't handle the
Ugh.
loading screens are so long, and if you make one false
Oh my
move
god, it's so
with the loading
slow.
screen, it's like 10 minutes of just sitting there staring at a cloudy sky.
Just one more quick reason why Alex is going to buy a PS4 this year. His Spider-Man is going to come out.
Oh yeah, I kind of
PS4
want that.
That might be the killer app for me,
God,
too.
PS4 got all the good
I know.
exclusives, like the best of
It really
the
They
best.
did. They really did.
I chose
all the
wrong
Xbox
this
exclusives go to PC anyway.
So
So,
who cares?
Yes, they do.
All right.
If I'm lucky, my Xbox will die soon. So
All right. Well, that's it for us in the Game Brew episode 21. If you liked us, if you love us, please subscribe to our channel. It means the world to us when you subscribe and when you comment to us. I can't tell you how much it makes my day when I open up my Facebook and there is someone who's asking a question about a video game or participating with us. If you have an idea for a topic, if you want to tell us what your game of the year is, if you want to tell us what your prediction for 2018 is, send us an email at thegamebrew@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Tell your friends about us. We love you, our listeners. Love us back. And I hope you have a wonderful 2018. We're all looking forward to it. So, last thing, most important thing, is that we just wanted to say thank you to our listeners. We started this project in 2017. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. We recorded an episode
Definitely.
001 that was basically
that was back
Never-
in
no one
February
will hear
or March.
yeah.
I think.
no one will
It
hear
was
that.
it was bad, and we've come a long way, and we couldn't have done it without you. You are the reason that we make this podcast. So, thank you for your support, and we hope to see you in 2018. Thank you so much, and we're signing off. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Au revoir, mon ami.
Peace.
All right, that's a wrap.